Wellness. That's what today's episode is all about. And we have a great resource to share that can guide you in how to bring more wellness into your life and into the lives of those you volunteer and work with within animal welfare. Hi, I'm Holly Sizemore, Chief Mission Officer for Best Friends Animal Society, and this is my co-host, Rose, whose job it is to welcome you to Saving America's Pets. We've talked about wellness before on this vlog, and it's a topic that warrants more attention and actionable resources. Many people get into animal welfare because they want to help save lives and make the world a better place. However, the environment in which we do this is often stressful and chaotic. There are pragmatic and effective ways to bring more wellness into the work of animal welfare. It's an investment that pays off in productivity, positivity, and resiliency. Today, we are speaking to Aimee Charlton, the Senior Manager of Learning Advancement for Best Friends Animal Society, Tina McCrory, President and CEO of Oklahoma Humane Society, and Jonathan Gary, the Animal Welfare Superintendent of Oklahoma City. We're speaking about a great resource that they've used to grow wellness amongst themselves and their teams. Hey, welcome, John, Dana, Aimee. So nice to have you all here. Aimee, you help lead our Executive Leadership Certification program. And today we're talking about one particular module in that program. Tell us what it's all about.
All right, back in 2019, we built an Executive Leadership Certification for just that, shelter directors who are at that executive level, to have a cohort of leaders that come together to learn some very specific strategies to lead change within their organizations successfully. This module is about them personally, as well as their team, to help work on paying a little bit more attention to themselves and building that well-being aspect into all of what they do every day. This particular module is very action-oriented. We started out weaving a little bit throughout, and we decided just this last cohort that we were going to make a very robust and intentional module specifically focused on well-being and resilience. What this module asks the students to do after they take all of the concepts and learning is to create a personal resilience plan for themselves, as well as building one for their team. And we've had a lot of great outcomes from that. And you'll hear some of that today with the two guests that we have with us.
Before we get to Dana and John, tell us, why is this so important?
One of the things that we've noticed, we're on our 6th cohort. So we have done this a few times now. And with the changes that have happened with the pandemic in the world, we've noticed that even though this field has some things that are difficult about it, there's been some additional strains. We've had facilities that have had to close down to the public, and we have weather conditions that have created some really tough situations for people. And it more so than ever, we have staff shortages just like everywhere else. So there's a lot of extra pressures, and we really have noticed that people could utilize some ways to use strategies around taking care of themselves and their teams better with all of those pressures.
John, so how did you use the module both for yourself individually and your team?
This was my favorite module that we did. There's just so much self-reflection that's happening actually throughout the whole program, but this module in particular really made me realize that I spent a lot of time focusing on my team and very little time focusing on me. And so this module really, it forced me actually to put some focus on myself. And after doing that, I quickly realized that everyone needed to do this, not just me. And so that's really what the model did for me, and why I decided to create a well-being and resiliency committee here at the shelter of our staff, and give our staff that same opportunity that I got through going through the executive leadership program.
Wow, that's terrific. And the committee, what do they do?
Currently, we're meeting monthly, and really the committee is about talking about anything that has to really do with job satisfaction, more staff morale. Anything that the group wants to talk about, we talk about. And really it's just about, I kind of start the meeting with a few quick things, and then I really turn it over to the staff, and it's their meeting. They could talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about. give recommendations to each other. I mean, most of the problems that they bring to the table, they work out through the different sections. And it's really great to see as a manager because they really do it on their own. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll make follow-up things. And then sometimes there's assignments that come out of it. So if, for instance, one of the things they wanted to do was throw an end of the year celebration. So we had 2 committee members that became their goal to plan that and make that happen. So it's really just about well-being overall and giving our staff an opportunity and a place that they can come talk to me as well about anything issues that they're having that's affecting the morale and the satisfaction that they have with coming to work every day.
Dana, tell us how you've incorporated some of the learnings in your work.
The well-being and resilience model really hit home with the Oklahoma Humane Society. I started almost 5 years ago, and we had a very low retention rate of key staff, of all staff, actually. So we had already dipped our toe into the water about well-being and resilience by initiating a survey within OK Humane and amongst all of our employees. Our survey results came back that we needed organizational transparency. So we needed to talk a little more about what we are doing, who we're doing it for, and how we are the partner with Oklahoma City Animal Welfare. It came back with communication scoring pretty low, which was very difficult for a communicator to hear. But you take them on the chin sometimes. And organizational wellness. And that really rang the alarm bells, because if an organization is not well with its humans, then an organization does not perform at the level we need to perform at. So we took each of those little modules of our own and created an action plan that is incorporated into our performance plans at the end of the year. So wellness is now a core systematic part of who we are.
Aimee, tell us a little bit more about what the module gives to the people in the cohort.
So what this module covers is, one, the importance of well-being in this life-saving work. It talks about the culture of caregiving and what that happens to look like in animal services, how it can lend itself to some of this issue with well-being. It gives them strategies to recognize the signs, which is kind of what I talked to a minute ago about the self-awareness of when you're starting to show signs. And then it talks about strategies for proactively promoting wellness within your own team. And so those are kind of the lessons that are structured within the module. And then they're given a template that is for themselves personally. And it goes right back to those same areas of when do they start to show signs? What are some examples of things that trigger them? What are some goals that they can make to mitigate those things so they don't get themselves clear to red? Because we've got a green, yellow, and red strategy that we have them using in the module to identify kind of where they're at and what to do if they get to the yellow so they don't ever get to the red. So there's a lot of proactive. We have them articulate a personal mantra in that personal resilience plan that they can live by. And so there's a lot of accountability in there because they've set goals for themselves. And so we revisit those and have them talk about their progress on those goals. And then the same is true for the team resilience plan. It goes back to what they learned in the module about how to investigate any issues that are going on, how do they analyze those, and how they come up with solutions with their team for those things that have come up, kind of like what John talked about in his coalition.
Dana, can you give me some examples of how you're seeing wellness being demonstrated by your team members as a result of some of the practices you learned?
We, Oklahoma Humane Society, has decided that we have the right to enforce boundaries. And those boundaries are all about boundaries within our teams. We don't know the number of animals that are going to come in. We don't know what OKC Animal Welfare is going to need, but we know what the team needs. So there are times given for employees to have workout time. There are pet bereavement days that we have included. So if we lose one of our furry friends, they have the time to truly grieve, because that's the purest form of grief. We have all of the attaboys and way to go girls boards all over the organization where we can let people know that we appreciate them. But mostly it is in our action plans. So by identifying the 3 core wellness and resiliency pieces for each individual person, we can call them out when we see them slipping into a red zone. So for me, I become very quiet. And so the team can say, I can kind of sense you're maybe frustrated, or I can say, maybe I'm just tired. But the quiet, they all know my triggers and I know theirs. So it's been an in-depth dive into the human psyche to really understand what animal welfare means to the people who are actively taking care of those animals.
John, I know that sometimes people feel like if we truly focus on wellness, the productivity will go down. Is that the case?
Absolutely not. I will say that the one thing, our committee is relatively new, right? We started in October, but I can already tell you, just in the few months that we've been doing it, the staff are happier. They love it. There's not a week that doesn't go by that somebody doesn't come up to me and say, thank you for starting that committee. We got to talk about things that we really needed to talk about, and just that open line of communication. And so, and obviously happier employees are more productive employees, and they're doing a really, really good job. And this, even though it's very short time period, we've seen huge improvements, and especially, for the first time in 5 years, we're fully staffed in our shelter officer positions, and we're not seeing the turnover. Now it's so early on, so it's hard for me to really put anything to it, but you can see it and you can feel it within the organization, and you can tell by the way that people speak about the program and what's going on.
Thank you, everyone, so much. And here's to being well. Take care. Check out the link to the Wellness and Resiliency module in the description section and let us know how you intend to proactively bring more wellness into your world.